Mangwanani mwalele pofu kenjani class wanawe Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening in the SADC region and beyond. On Monday the 16th of August, as usual, you are joined by Aina Raiza Koyo and myself, Ashwin Mberi. Keep in mind, after our first batch of stories, we're going to cross over to Mike Sichula in Zambia to find out the latest on the Zambian elections.
Happy Monday, everybody. Today is World Bratwurst Day. There is no dispute that can't be solved over a beer, a brat, and an adversary with a weaker argument than you. And here is more on World Bratwurst Day. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our top stories this morning, Malawi takes over SADC chair. Malawi President Lazarus Chakwera will this week take over the chairperson of the Southern African Development Community at the Ordinary Summit of the Heads of State and Government in Lilongwe. Heads of state and government will meet from the 17th to the 18th of August. The summit in Lilongwe will take stock of progress made in promoting and deepening regional integration in line with SADC's Vision 2050, which envisages a peaceful, inclusive, competitive, middle to high income industrialized region where all citizens enjoy sustainable economic well-being, justice, and freedom.
In our second story, the most homophobic document in the world and how it will affect Ghana's LGBTQIA+ community. Dubbed the most homophobic document the world has ever seen, legislators in Ghana are hell-bent on passing a new law making life even harder for LGBTQIA+ persons in the West African country, a bill which essentially strips the community of all their human rights. The 36-page Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and the Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021, which is yet to be considered by Parliament, seeks to criminalize LGBTQIA+ activities in the staunchly religious West African country. The draft bill also proposes punishment for groups and individuals who advocate for LGBTQI+ rights, express sympathy, or offer social or medical support. Alex Kofi Donkor, who is an openly gay man rights advocate and the director of the LGBTQIA+ Rights Ghana, said that being part of the community in Ghana is like being a second-class citizen in which they live in constant state of fear and unable to live up to their full potential because of their sexual orientation.
In our next story, Côte d'Ivoire records a first case of Ebola, says the health minister. Côte d'Ivoire has recorded a first case of Ebola. The health minister announced late Saturday the first occurrence of the deadly disease in nearly 3 decades. Officials at the Institute Pasteur had confirmed the case after testing samples taken from an 18-year-old Guinean woman, Health Minister Pierre Demba said on RTI state television. This is an isolated and important case, he said, adding that the patient was currently being treated in intensive care in Abidjan. Prime Minister Patrick Achi had chaired an emergency interministerial meeting earlier Saturday, the minister added. Appealing for calm, he said the authorities had already acted an emergency plan which included the identification and surveillance of anyone who had come into contact with the patient.
In our next story, 12 dead as fishermen and herders clash in Cameroon. 12 people have been killed and 48 wounded in clashes between fishermen and herders in northern Cameroon, the region's governor said on Thursday. It began when members of the Muscom community erected dams to divert water to help them catch fish in a location where ethnic Arab Choa herders also take their cattle for watering, he said. An official told AFP that the belligerents used machetes, knives, and bows and arrows. The two communities had asked the authorities to intervene to define areas that they can each use without harming each other, he said. Clashes between ethnic groups are rare in Cameroon, but are frequent in Chad and Nigeria, particularly between sedentary farmers and semi-nomadic herders. Cameroon's far north is also struggling with cross-border attacks by jihadists from northeastern Nigeria.
Floods in Niger claim 52 lives and thousands are displaced. Floods in the West African country of Niger have claimed 52 lives this week, while 34 others are being treated for injuries, according to reports by the emergency service personnel. Thousands of people have also been displaced due to the flooding. According to reports, the worst-hit region in the current flooding are Marandi in the southeast, Agadazi in the desert north, and the capital Niamey, where 16 people have died. Arise News reported that 144 millimeters of rain has been recorded between Tuesday and Wednesday. According to news website The Guardian Nigeria, the rainy season in the country is usually short, typically lasting from June to August or even September, although in recent years it has been exceptionally strong.
In our next story, Marburg virus, another major virus Africa has to battle. Less than 2 months after Guinea declared an end to its most recent Ebola outbreak, the country has confirmed a case of the Marburg virus, a highly infectious disease that causes hemorrhagic fever. The virus was detected in Guekedu, the very region where cases of the 2021 Ebola outbreak in Guinea, as well as the 2014 to 2016 West Africa outbreak, were initially detected. Although no other cases have been detected in other countries, the discovery of the Marburg virus comes at a time when Guinea and the continent are struggling against the third wave of the coronavirus, raising fears of yet another major health crisis in Africa. According to the head of the World Health Organization in Guinea, Dr. Georges Kizerbo, the risk levels are very high in the area where the virus was first detected and moderately low in the rest of the continent.
Gaddafi's son faces arrest over Russian mercenaries. Prosecutors in Libya have issued an arrest warrant for Saif al-Salam Gaddafi, the son of late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, over suspected ties to Russian mercenaries. Russian fighters first appeared in Libya in 2019 when they joined the forces of a rebel General Khalifa Haftar in attacking a UN-backed government in the capital Tripoli. The conflict ended in a ceasefire in October 2020. The Wagner Group was first identified in 2014 when it was backing pro-Russian separatists in a conflict in the eastern Ukraine. Since then, it has been involved in regions including Syria, Mozambique, Sudan, and the Central African Republic.
In our next story, fire leaves 48 families homeless in Maputo City. At least 48 families lost their homes as a result of a fire in Maputo's Chamankulo B neighborhood on Thursday afternoon. The fire consumed a large number of houses. No one was injured or killed, there being nobody in the affected homes at the time of the incident. Resident Sheila Manuel was the one who called Sensa, and she said that the help took a long time to arrive. The firefighters were late arriving. They got to the scene only once the fire had grown to great proportions, she said. Sensap, however, denied that it took a long time to reach the location and says that an electrical short circuit could be the cause of the situation.
Malawi Red Cross Society bemoans myth surrounding COVID-19 vaccine. A humanitarian organization, Malawi Red Cross Society, has expressed worry over rife rumors and myths about COVID-19 vaccine, saying this is derailing their efforts to have many Malawians vaccinated. Mcbain Kanogodza, Malawi Red Cross Society Secretary General, made the remarks on Friday during a media orientation on COVID-19 vaccine. Kanogodza said it is said that people continue to spread negative rumors about COVID-19 vaccine, which has made others not to get the vaccine. According to Kanogodza, people are making up stories that those who get the vaccine would die in the next 2 years, while some say those who have received the jab would not bear children. This is why we are engaging you, the media, to help in disseminating the right message so that the good population of Malawi gets the vaccine.
Now in Namibia, NASCAM sets up task force to save artists. The Namibian Society of Composers and Authors of Music has urged members to form an artist advisory task force to come up with a strategy to turn around the devastation that has affected the industry and the plight of artists. NASCAM Director Knowledge Ndunge Ipinge, chairperson of the NASCAM Advisory Task Force, said the industry's current state came as a result of a lack of events due to the ongoing COVID-19 regulations and dried up support from music users, corporate and the government, which has left those employed in the industry economically vulnerable. The purpose of the task force will be to seek advice from artists, composers and authors by first understanding their needs and challenges, then identify and recommend collaborative models of working together to find a solution through a turnaround strategy, Ipinge said.
In Angola, hot season starts today. The rainy season, rather. The rainy season in Angola officially starts today. After 3 months of cold weather, the country is now undergoing a climate change in which temperatures get warmer. The Angolan hot season lasts for between 9 to 10 months a year. Data from the Institute of Meteorology and Geophysics indicates that throughout the year, in general, the temperature varies from 19 to 30 degrees Celsius, and rarely it is lower than 18 or higher than 32. It is also the opening of the bathing season, although given the restrictive measures imposed by COVID-19 pandemic, beaches, swimming pools and other bathing facilities must remain closed until September. But the change of the climate season is for many the time that comes fraught with some concerns, because this change comes with many diseases, such as those caused by heat, and encompass some disorders with severity varies from dehydration and heat exhaustion. The most common heat illnesses are those that lead to fluid loss and dehydration.
Now, in the last of our top stories, Africa, floods will displace 2.7 million people by 2050. The 6th IPCC report on climate change predicts disastrous scenarios in Africa. The impact of global warming will also force many African families to abandon their homes, about 2.7 million by 2050. Global warming is accelerating faster than expected. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change estimates that the threshold of plus 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming compared to the pre-industrial era will be reached around 2030, 10 years earlier than in previous projections, exposing humanity to unprecedented disasters. In nature, the extinction of animal and plant species will be 1,000 times faster than in the mid-19th century, with warming between plus 2 and plus 3 degrees Celsius. Up to 54% of terrestrial and marine species could be threatened with extinction by the end of this century. Even at plus 2 degrees Celsius, polar wildlife will be threatened, and at just 1.5 degrees Celsius, 70 to 90% of coral reefs are at risk. We certainly need to do our best to take care of our planet, not just for us, but for the future. This is 2 Africa. Good morning. We have so much to talk about after the break, including Zambia deciding its future. Stick around. Now, if you were paying attention to news cycles and social media, especially over the weekend, you would know the hashtag Zambia Decides 2021 because Zambians were at their elections. Now, some of the video clips I saw were Zambians escorting their votes from polling stations right up onto the places where they get counted. And one thing that I felt as an African youth was that we need to care about our vote
Yes.
because Zambians care about their votes. To talk about this and much more, please welcome Mr. Mike Sichula, our correspondent in Zambia. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Africa, good morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
We are fantastic, but we must admit we are not glowing as well as you are, Mike. Let's get into our first story. Opposition UPND Alliance leader Hakainde Hichilema has taken a lead in last week's general elections. Could you please get into that?
Thank you very much. Actually, by the time I was submitting this copy to Namibia yesterday, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema had taken the lead by over 2 million votes, and his rival, Mr. Edgar Lungu, was trailing by less than 1.3 million votes. But this morning, around 02:30 hours, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema was declared winner of this presidential general election. That's Mr. the president-elect there, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. He has amassed the required threshold, that is 50% plus one vote for him to become Zambia's seventh president. So as we speak, there's a lot of excitement across the country. Those are some of the people that have been celebrating his victory from the time the Electoral Commission of Zambia started announcing, because from the time they started announcing on over the weekend, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has been in the lead. And one of the reasons why he's been in the lead is because Mr. Hichilema, who is predominantly believed to be to have a stronghold in the southern part of Zambia, where he was born in Monze in 1962. But this time he has penetrated across the country. I can tell you that Mr. Hichilema now has got representation across all the 10 provinces of Zambia. He's got a member of parliament. So this is a huge, huge victory for the opposition UPND.
Indeed, it's good to see democracy in action. Now, political analysts have been talking about how this might not be necessarily choosing Hakainde Hichilema as much as it is rejecting President Edgar Lungu, who is obviously of the Patriotic Front and declared that the election was not fair. What are your thoughts around this?
It was surprising to receive such a statement from President Edgar Lungu, the outgoing president, to say the elections were not free and fair. The Patriotic Front based this argument on the fact that there were two members of the Patriotic Front that were killed in northwestern province. But this comes on the backdrop of what you earlier said, where Zambians wanted to protect their vote. They were so suspicious of anyone who they thought was was attempting to tamper with the votes. So unfortunately, two of the PF members were killed, which is, may their soul rest in peace. It was unfortunate that they were killed by suspected members of the UPND. So in the background there, in the picture, that's Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. In one of the provinces, wherever he went, he was attracting huge, huge crowds, as can be seen from that picture. So what people are saying is that yes, this is a victory for Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND, but it is a victory for a number of Zambians who felt the PF were not doing enough to protect them from victimization of their party cadres who took over control of bus stations, markets, and literally everything. The Zambia police, they were bound down to cadres. So it is more or less like a protest vote because people felt this is a time we can get rid of this administration.
All right. Now, Mike, do tell us how long will it take for, business to get back to normal in Zambia? Of course, you've made a decision for your future. When do people start building it?
Okay, what has been happening since Thursday last week, a lot of businesses actually had closed for operation because of anxiety and panic. People did not know what was going to happen. People were expecting that probably there could be a backlash of violence, especially if the PF had carried the day. These were expected to happen. And this is the decision that the outgoing president, Mr. Lungu, made to deploy the army into some hotspots where there was likely to be a backlash in terms of if he had won. So now, between now and about 7 days, according to our constitution, if the PF are not happy with the outcome of the elections, they have to petition the constitution and the constitutional court, and that gives them a period of about 7 days in which the constitutional court has to dispose the matter and probably set the date for the inauguration of President Hakainde Hichilema. So business is expected to resume normal operations because that the opposition has won, meaning the ruling has got the now opposition, the PF, they will have little say on what happens in the country. So business is likely to resume back to normal because in the past few days the issues of transportation was problematic. Even for instance, to find bread on most shelves, it was not there because the number of manufacturing companies had reduced production for fear of what was going to happen.
All right. Wow. I'm so happy for the people of Zambia. It's a good day to be Zambian today. I'm sure it's not a blue Monday.
No, not at all. It's a good. I mean, from what I see, it seems like there's a lot of red in Zambia as far as T-shirts go.
Yeah. All right, Master.
No, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of excitement. I'll be able to share some of the videos probably when we come on Wednesday or even tomorrow. I'll be able to share the videos of what is going on. There's jubilation across the country that I can assure you it is happening, and it is happening.
All right. All right, now the universities and schools must reopen on the 23rd of August. Please tell us more.
Okay, yes, this is another decision that has been made by the outgoing administration because it follows the reduction in coronavirus cases on the backdrop of improved vaccination against the virus, as well as the weather here now is becoming a little warmer and numbers have little gone down. Despite the political activities that were happening, where there was disregard for social distancing and the like, but people were still very observant to observe some of the basics to contain the virus. Hence, the government has decided to reopen schools and primary schools as well as the tertiary education colleges and universities on the 23rd of this month. So that is something that is good for a number of parents and as well as students who had missed out in terms of from physical learning. So that's what has been decided. And the other thing that will be decided later on, probably this week or next, is the reopening of nightclubs, bars, as well as restaurants who are told to be operating on takeaway basis.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us the news from Zambia, especially with regards to the elections. It seems like everybody is ready to get going. Earlier, I had said for Zambia to start building. I meant to say to continue building in a new direction. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you very much. And it's indeed a blessed week from Zambia because there's a lot of excitement. And I'm glad that you brought it up. And I'm sure our viewers on Africa Good Morning will follow these proceedings as we also give them more updates on what will be happening from here in Lusaka. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
We certainly hope that that excitement and the lessons from the election can reverberate around Africa. This is To Africa. Good morning. We'll be back after the break.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Now, Dion Vermeulen of Fired Cup Coffee Roastery talks coffee and building his own coffee machine, a first for Namibia. It also doesn't require electricity or a water source. How amazing.
Yes.
Halala.
Ooh, I love my coffee. We love to see it.
Love to see it. And here is more on that.
Right.
Good morning, viewers. Today I'm joined with Dion Vermeulen here from Fired Up Coffee Roastery. Dion, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I do appreciate the time as well. So.
Quickly tell us what is happening here at your business.
Okay, so it's quite a big business module that we have started a few years ago already, and the biggest idea behind, I think the whole concept is giving great coffee to Namibia as well. So we're doing the wood-fired coffees. We're not a lot of roasteries that does that. It's a very complicated process, but putting a bit of Namibia in the coffee as well. So what we're doing is we're using wood like camelthorn, swartak, mumpani, those type of woods to roast the coffee with, which gives it a nice, unique flavor to the coffee as well. Basically, like you would, let's say, great whiskies or these type of things that's made in that way to give that oaky wood flavor towards it is exactly the same thing we're doing with the coffee. So we're putting a bit of Namibia in the coffee. So.
And how old is the business?
The business is running around about 5 years now, so which we have been opening, but it's been quite a rough ride because the thing is we had to redo profiling on coffees with wood, so it's a really complicated process, especially if the wood is not really worked with coffee as well. So you have to be careful with poisons and those things in the wood. So it's been a wild run, but the coffee shops from Fire Up, which we've started now, we started in April last year, the worst time we could possibly start it. We've opened it and it's been quite a success. So the whole idea with this part of the business is basically supporting local massively in a way that locals can also have a part of Fired Up, like small coffee shops that we're putting out. It's really cost effective. And it's been helping a lot of local businesses growing. So especially if you have coffee shops that's struggling, places that's really hidden away, since Namibia doesn't have a lot of population. And with us bringing it out a bit in places that it's a bit more populated, very low rentals, no electricity. The coffee shops don't use any electricity or any water point. You need to operate it as well. So with this set, it's basically you can operate this whole coffee mobile shop in the desert, which makes it really nice. So with this whole setup we've launched, basically supporting a lot of local businesses in this way, bringing our part back. But basically we're a big roastery, and the idea is to get coffee out to people that really enjoys it.
But some exciting news is that you built your own coffee machines.
Absolutely. So this is a project we've started a while ago, and it's been really challenged, especially if you, let's say if you buy big brand coffee machines that you have to operate. It's really over expensive. You need a special grinder to get your coffee grinders. It's really expensive. And I'm not even talking about maintenance. I mean, maintenance is really rough. You need filters, water filters. You need a lot of things. Descaling your coffee boilers. All of these. If you consider all of these things maintenance-wise on your big brand coffee machines, it's really expensive. And we've came up with a concept of a machine that really is inexpensive to replace. Looks absolutely something out of this world. It's basically it's all steampunk type of coffee machine, and it's only operating on gas, so you don't need electricity to operate the machine, and it's very strong. Basically, it has no electrical components, so you can take the machine, put it in the sea for basically 2 days, remove it again, and it will still work very well. So very easy to descale. Obviously, it has its own water tank, so it can give you cold water, it can give you hot water. It has a 4-group head, so it can make a lot of coffee at one time. It's something amazing. This we have registered and patented about a year ago, but it's been a big process to get this machine out as well. So this is something that's been built in Namibia, registered in Namibia, and something that we would love to get globally soon.
That's amazing, and I think it's about time that something like this starts in Namibia and for the world to see we can.
Absolutely, and the whole idea with this type of concept is basically I have a big passion for coffee as well. Really, I love it, and this is why we've taken something and we've really changed the whole concept from doing wood-fired coffees, building our own machines, and having our own coffee shops. We also design and do, which is really great. So it's the 3 concepts of great coffee, the coffee machines that's really only available at Fired Up. No one can get it all around the world, it's only at us. And then obviously the whole shop, that's a very nice vibe as well. Something that we're trying to really support locals by giving them great business opportunities, and with that they can also operate and generate great income from great locations as well. So we have future plans on maybe growing coffee as well in Namibia. It's not really profitable, but it's more of supporting local as well, getting people to operate and be part of the whole Fired Up family, the way we put it, and everyone is welcome to join it. So the great idea is if we do expand out of Namibia, we have great strength of everyone that really works with us. Obviously, we'll be benefiting from abroad as well. That's where we want to be at the end of the day.
Those are exactly the kind of innovations that we love to see. We certainly hope that Dion Vermeulen gets the support he absolutely deserves. This is Still Africa Good Morning, and we hope that you have the weather you deserve, but there's only one way to tell, by checking out the forecast up next.
welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Now, in other innovation news, Zambi Mate is a Kenyan engineer and the head of Njenje Makers Ltd, a social enterprise that produces sustainable, low-cost construction materials made of recycled plastic waste. Zambi was honored with the United Nations Environment Program 2020 Young Champions of the Earth Prize, recognizing outstanding environmental leaders from the public and private sectors. The Young Champions of the Earth Prize is a leading initiative to engage youth in tackling the world's pressing environmental challenges. 7 winners were announced in December 2020. The winners are given funding and mentorship to support their environmental initiatives. Since its inception in 2017, 28 environmental trailblazers have been recognized from every corner of the globe. And here is Zambi Mate's inspiring story.
Let's turn trash into cash. My name is Zambi Mate. I'm the founder of Njenje Makers Limited, and we convert plastic waste into building products. Plastic waste is not just a Kenya problem, but it's a worldwide problem. And here in Nairobi, we generate about 500 metric tons of plastic waste every single day, and only a fraction of that is recycled. We decided, what more can we do instead of just sitting in the sidelines and complaining? Essentially, companies have to pay to dispose the waste. So we solve their problem. The waste essentially comes for free. This is the plastic waste we get from factories. With this, we mix with sand, as the plastic is like the binder. We have 3 machines. The extruder does the mixing of plastic waste with sand at very high temperatures, and then the press compresses it. Plastic is fibrous in nature, and so therefore the brick ends up having a stronger compression strength.
Does that look like waste to you?
It's almost half the weight. So therefore, during transportation and installation, it's faster in terms of cost implication. We right now have a capacity of producing 1,000 to 1,500 bricks a day. So far, we have recycled 20 metric tons, and we are looking to push that value to 50 by the end of next financial year. Winning the Young Champions of the Earth Award is a huge motivation booster for us as a team. It's been a long 3-year journey, and so this was like someone saying, I see what you're doing and I appreciate that. And with this platform, we're looking to see how we can get on board partners to scale this solution, not just in Kenya, but all over Africa, just to start. And in addition to that, be able to impact and motivate other people and other youths to do similar things in different places. So right now we are just making paving blocks, but we now want to make actual building blocks. As I like saying, you have to be true to your why. Why are you doing this? What is the motivation behind it? For me, I was just tired of being in the sidelines of seeing plastic. I ideally jumped in off a cliff without even a parachute. I was building it as I was falling down. But isn't that how great things are done? So act for nature.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning as we continue bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Right now, we're going to dive straight into your economic news stories for the day. In our first story, Sonangol intends to expand market. Sonangol has adopted the strategic goal of expanding refined and gas exports to Zambia, Namibia, and South Africa by 2027, having started supplies to the Democratic Republic of Congo already. They announced the decision in Sonangol's July newsletter, in which they revealed that the expansion already started in 2020 when the operation for the DRC started, which consists of transporting butane gas by land. The process of penetrating the Zambian market is also at an advanced stage, where deliveries of butane transported by land are expected. The company has a defined vision to expand the marketing of refined products and gas to at least 4 countries in the SADC region by 2027. The main destinations have been China, India, and Thailand.
In our next story, Medupi explosion may not mean more load shedding, but will cost Eskom billions. An explosion at one of Eskom's newer coal-fired power plants last week could cost the embattled power utility billions and potentially worsen an already bleak outlook for periodic load shedding. The explosion, which was reported felt as far as 60 kilometers away, occurred in Medupi power plant near Lefale in Limpopo. The plant's Unit 4 generator has been destroyed and occurred while hydrogen was being displaced with carbon dioxide and air to identify an external leak. So far, the plant has cost around 250 billion rand.
All right, in our next story, Tanzania seeks to supply avocados to South Africa during the off-season. South African consumers can look forward to a steady supply of avocados throughout the year, provided an agreement pertaining to avoiding produce pests and diseases is reached between Tanzania and South Africa. The bulk of South Africa's avocado season occurs between mid-February to late October each year, whereas the avocado off-season falls between November and January. Tanzania's avocados are expected to be available in the South African market by December. At the moment, Tanzania can't bring avocados to the country because of what they call the phytosanitary agreement, the agreement between the 2 countries with regards to managing of pests and diseases. Such an agreement first needs to be signed before they can be brought into South Africa.
Next parliament sitting to ratify Africa's trade treaty. Tanzania is waiting for September House to ratify the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is touted as a game changer in the continent's trade. Industry and Trade Deputy Minister Exode Kihage told the Citizen yesterday that the cabinet had in last week approved the document ready for taking the same to Parliament, slated to kick off on the 31st of August this year. The question of the AFCFTA, the agreement which focuses on removing non-tariff trade barriers in the continent, he expounded, would be on top of the list of the agenda in the August House. The deal, signed by 54 of the African Union's 55 member states, commits countries to 90% tariff cuts within a 5-year period.
All right, South Africa to seek opportunities at BRICS Business Forum. South Africa could use the BRICS Business Forum to showcase what the country has to offer, improve confidence, and attract investment, an official said on Friday. Busi Mabuza, the chairperson of the South African chapter of the BRICS Business Council, said the country intended to use the opportunity presented by the BRICS Business Forum to showcase new possibilities and opportunities within the regions. India will host the big BRICS Business Forum virtually from August 16 to 18. Mabuza said she will go with captains of industry from various sectors to lure investors into the country. Mabuza expressed confidence in BRICS countries' capability to drive economic development amongst those countries. All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. You know what comes up next? Economic indicators. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Now, as we get into our sports news, I have to admit, this weekend I was looking at the president of Rwanda's tweets. He was tweeting up very passionately, and he was talking about an establishment, and I thought he was talking about his country, only to realize he was talking about Arsenal, and I have never felt more understood in my life. Welcome to Africa Good Morning Sports Update, and the best person to take it away is Mr. Ari Hogard. What's up, Ari?
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin. Yes, hello, Aina. Sport can be lovely, but if we depend on sport results for our joy in life, it's going to be very difficult, I think. Just when there's good days, but then there's very bad days. So I think we must just manage that. But anyway, let's start with the Arsenal. Maybe that's maybe a good cue. It was a great day for Brentford. Brentford Football Club, that's in the English Premier League. They made their debut. It's their first season in the English Premier League, and they played at home, a new 17,000 seater, back to capacity, and they did the home crowd proud. They won against Arsenal 2-0, so a good start for Brentford. And we could see the whole weekend, it was full house, all the spectators watching the games, and it made a big difference for the home teams, definitely. Other good results from the weekend, big statements from the big clubs, maybe early on. Chelsea playing at home, they beat Crystal Palace by 3-0, and then Manchester United also playing at home. They had a big win against Leeds by 5-1, so a big statement from them early on. A good win for Liverpool. They actually played away from home. They played at Norwich, so they won 3-0, so that is an impressive start for them. And then the big game last night was Tottenham Hotspur that beat Manchester City, the defending champions, at home by 1-0. Lots of spice in that game because Harry Kane, Tottenham Hotspur legend, he allegedly wants to leave the club for Manchester City, and he didn't play last night. He wasn't even in the starting squad. So a good one for Tottenham Hotspur. So we'll follow that. Lots of football to come the rest of the year and into next year. On to some rugby news. There was some rugby championship rugby that started off. Firstly, in New Zealand, it was the All Blacks that was really impressive in the second Bledisloe Cup. That was the first game also for the rugby championships, and it was the All Blacks that scored 57 points to 22 win against the Wallabies. It's their biggest winning margin of winning points against the Wallabies against Australia in history. Never before have they achieved 57 points against Australia. So that is an impressive win. South Africa still needs to play them, obviously, in the competition later on. South Africa made also a fairly good start against Argentina. They won that game 32 points to 12. And if that score sounds familiar, 32 points to 12, that was the World Cup winning score when South Africa beat England in 2019 in the World Cup final. So it looks like 32 points to 12 is a good score for the Springboks. The All Blacks in South Africa now on 5 points, 5 league points, both got a bonus point, and Australia and Argentina yet to score any points in the competition. Next weekend, South Africa play Argentina again, and it's also again the All Blacks against the Wallabies. On to some cricket news. Lots of cricket happening, or two games, two test matches happening. The one at Lords is of high interest. It is India playing England, and it's day 5 today. And going into day 5, India is on 181 for the loss of 6 wickets. They lead by 154 runs. So 1 day to go. New ball is due this morning, so it's going to be difficult for India maybe to survive. But if they can creep up to 200 plus, maybe that will be a defendable or a total to try and defend. Another test that was that finished yesterday was very exciting. It was the West Indies that's playing against Pakistan at home in Jamaica, and that went right down to the wire. It was the home team West Indies that won the game by 9 wickets. So it was very tense in the end. Pakistan batted first, 217. West Indies in their first inning, 253. And then 203 Pakistan in their second innings, and the West Indies 168 for 9 in their second innings. Kemar Roach, he batted at number 9. He was the mainstay there. He's more known as a seam bowler or fast bowler. He made 30 runs unbeaten in that win for the West Indies. On to some golf news. There were some golf tournaments across the globe. First in the ladies, it was a Scottish Open that was played in Scotland, obviously, and it was Ryan O'Toole of the USA. She won the tournament on 17 under par. She's 34 years old, and a great story that was a 228th start that she has never won before. Her first win after entering in 228 tournaments. So a great win for Rhino too. Minus 17, and Lydia Ko of New Zealand was second on minus 14. Then also in the men's European tour, it was the Kazoo Open, played in Kent, close in England, and it was Scotland's Callum Hill that won the tournament on 16 under par. Alexander Levy was second on 15 under par, and South African or Southern African interest Daniel van Tonder, he was tied for 21st on a 9 under par. And then lastly, in the Wyndham Championship that was played in North Carolina in the USA, also a unique situation late last night. 6 players that was in a playoff, so it doesn't happen too often. 6 players that on the same score, minus 15. One of them was South African Brendan Grace, but unfortunately he wasn't the winner. It was Kevin Kisner of the USA that won in the playoff to win the Wyndham Championship in North Carolina. And then just to close off, it is tennis news. The Canadian Open was played, the National Bank Open, the Canadian Tennis Open. It's the WTA Thousands tournament. That is Karolina Pliskova. She lost, unfortunately for her, in the final against Camilla Giorgi of Italy. And it's a great story. Camilla Giorgi was the 71st seeded in the world, and she beat Pliskova, 6th seed in the world in the final. So a great win for Georgia. And in the men's section, it was Daniel Medvedev of Russia that won against Riley Opelka. That is Daniel Medvedev. He's from Russia. He beat Riley Opelka by 6-4 and 6-3. And for those that follow tennis, you can have a look out for Riley Opelka. He is a massive guy. That is Riley Opelka. He's 10 centimeters taller than, almost 10 centimeters taller than even Etzebeth, the lock play for the Springboks. He's 2 meters, 11 centimeters tall, Riley Opelka. Even Etzebeth, 2 meters, 3 centimeters. So he's a massive guy, and he played in the final of that tournament against Daniel Medvedev. So that's all the sport. Hopefully your soccer team, your football team will do better this coming weekend. And a great week for everyone. We talk again on Friday. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Ari. This is still Africa. Good morning. After the break, we'll be bringing you headlines. Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, or if you need a recap, worry not, your headlines are up next. Malawi takes over SADC chair. The most homophobic document in the world and how it will affect Ghana's LGBTQIA+ community. Côte d'Ivoire records first case of Ebola, according to the health minister. 12 dead as fishermen and herders clash in Cameroon. Sonangol intends to expand market. English Premier League season started over the weekend with Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool making early statements with big wins. Those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for joining us on Africa Good Morning. We do encourage you to please visit oneup2.com, which is our live NMH TV channel, for more content that you love to see. On that note, we do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2cents@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter, and as I always say, our DMs are always open. Do get yourself vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings.
Absolutely, and until tomorrow, Swera Jakanaka.